Hello, Mr. Felix.
I'm here. I muted before, so I'm here.
I noticed. So should we, when you are ready for us to start, you just
I
let
think
us.
I think Mr. Gabriel is actually, the time for Mr. Gabriel has actually elapsed. So I think we should just go straight to your own presentation.
Okay, I did made an observation yesterday that most of the GZMs, they are not always online. I don't want to believe that it's deliberate, but I think we should make deliberate and concerted effort to ensure that these people are also online so that they will hear from their people, because it's not all the time they get to see or talk to these people. But I can see Mr. Rabo online. Mr. Rabo, please, are you still with us? Mr. Rabo, please. Okay. I cannot see any other person though. All right. I should start, right?
Yes.
Maybe you should do a formal introduction today, at least.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying introduce me, introduce the meeting. That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
I know. Okay. Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, okay. I want to appreciate your joining this meeting for today. We've been on this meeting for about 3 days now. Today is the third day, and most of you have been cooperating. I want to say a very big thank you to everybody, especially the zonal manager, Benin. He has been helpful, and he has been very wonderful. So what I want to just tell you now is that this meeting, we'll continue to repeat meetings like this. We'll be bringing instructors to come and be teaching us on various things that we need to know. So I would just want to encourage you that while we are calling the presenter, the person who is taking us on the NIPOST operation, Mr. Kingsley Eyekekwolo, to come on board to present, I want to advise that every one of us should put all our audio on mute. And it is when you have questions that you definitely unmute your device and you ask your question. There's also an icon there for a hand icon, that if you have any question, you can just press the icon. So it will enable the presenter know that somebody has a question, and the presenter will be able to tell you, answer your question, allow you to ask your question and answer your question. So please, at this time, please turn off your video and just listen. So Mr. Kingsley, you're welcome on board. As the floor is open, you have, I think, 50 minutes to present this presentation. So good luck. Thank you. Hello, Mr. Kingsley. Hello, Mr. Kingsley. Mr. Kingsley, are you there? Are you there? Hello, Mr. Kingsley.
I can hear you, please. I don't know whether it's my network or it's from your end. All of a sudden,
are you having issues?
I now noticed I was having issues.
No, what you are going to do, is that you are I can hear you. You are presenting a file. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Kingsley, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me, please?
Okay. Yes, I observed that you turn on your video. So you can just turn off.
I've turned it off. It's like that's why I was having issues.
Yes, so please turn it off and just give us your screen. Let us.
I didn't turn off it. Okay, can you see me? Are you serious? It's a mistake.
Okay.
I think my video is off actually.
Before now it was on. Before now it was on.
Okay. All right.
There was something that was actually on. Okay.
No, it was, I was sharing my slide actually. I didn't turn on video. That's
okay.
I tried to share the slide. I don't know if that's what was dragging my my network. So maybe I should be the only one seeing the slide then.
No. Share your slide, please.
But
Share
it
your
seems
slide,
like when
please.
I shared, okay, let me share it again. I hope it won't pull my network down again.
Share your slide.
Okay, I'm trying to share. I'm sharing now. Can you see? Can you see my page?
Yes.
Okay.
You can see it too.
Okay, very well then. So, good afternoon, everybody. Uh, my
Good afternoon.
August online and my distinguished colleagues. Okay. Welcome once again. We have actually started informally, but let's start formally now. This afternoon, we're going to be running through some operational procedures in ICT. But however, I'm going to try as much as possible to make this class interactive because the truth of the matter is, like I said earlier, it's not about laying down procedures. It's about understanding the possibility of these procedures being carried out on the field. We also understand from our own perspective that our challenges are peculiar. What that means is that over here in one place, the challenge they will be having could be network, while in another place, the challenge could even be shortage of devices. So that is why I said I'll try to make it interactive so that we'll be able to discuss on how best we can maximize our little resources and infrastructure with a view to getting optimal results. So, my system. Okay. Now, let me just run through a brief introduction. When we say ICT operations or IT operation, we're actually talking about the set of processes that are being provisioned by the ICT department to organize. Please, let's take note of these words: to organize, to coordinate, and manage ICT services, applications, and infrastructure in our various offices in order to aid efficient service delivery. Now, when we say services, when we say applications, when we say infrastructure, we already know that these are the things we are working with in our various offices. For example, we have network infrastructures. For example, we have our applications or what we call solutions that are running on our counters. We also render some other forms of services across our counters, which are delivered electronically, like the financial services and so on and so forth. So how best do we organize these services? How best do we manage these services? How best do we coordinate these activities to ensure that we get the desired result? Over time, there have been challenges of we saying that there are network failure, there are infrastructural failures, there are infrastructural deficit. But the truth of the matter is this: I said it recently, that if we organize our infrastructures properly, no matter how small we think they are, we will still be able to get some level of result if we're actually using them appropriately. All right, I'll talk about who an ICT officer is, which is part of the course of when you are discussing operation. I'll talk about your schedules. I'll talk about what is expected of you. But I want to start by asking some few questions. For example, do we have what we call deployment and allocation of ICT devices? NIPOST, no matter how small we think they are, NIPOST have invested a lot in ICT devices. These devices ranges from desktop computers, laptop, tablets, Android mobile terminals. I know when I said Android mobile terminals, some of us will be wondering, I've never been given a cell phone. But I think for those who are in Lagos, they could attest to that when we were test running this address verification. Some Android terminals were distributed, these Infinix mobile phones. The idea was not just to use them for address verification. The idea is to ensure that as we progress it, we will be able to use these terminals to even be doing our delivery. So instead of opting for an expensive Motorola device that some other courier services are using, we were thinking that we could put some applications in this terminal that will aid our delivery processes. So other devices are printers, handheld scanners. I think I will need to talk on that a little bit. Recently, the GMICT were talking and we were now like, do offices still have handheld scanners? And I said yes, because I remember in those days when we were when I was in Benin, handheld scanners were distributed, and over time, we've also been receiving handheld scanners. But the truth is, how many offices are actually using this scanner? Even my own Benin, I know by now they would have locked them up in the counters or in their drawers, because probably they don't even scan barcodes. Instead, sometimes they prefer to type this barcode. But the idea behind it was to ensure that we avoid mistakes, to ensure that it fast track our processes, so that when you just point these devices to your barcode, it captures automatically, but we're not using them. Then we also deployed electronic scales too. I remember some 2 years back when we did distribution, 2 years or so, when we did distribution, some persons got electronic scales. How well are we managing these skills? How are we using these skills? Then modems are Wi-Fi. So these are questions I would want to ask before I continue, and I want us to also respond when the need arises. How are these devices allocated? How are these devices documented? How are these devices protected? How are these devices maintained? How are these devices actually used for the purpose it was allocated? Now let's start from the first one. When devices are sent from corporate headquarters to the various zones, it gets to the zonal managers. Unfortunately, most of them are not online, but thank God we're in a meeting that the GMICT had to even check. Am I still online? Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, please talk, because so it will look as if I'm talking to
We
myself.
can hear you, sir.
All right, sorry,
Yes,
please, because okay. All right, I will be interjecting like that to be sure that people are following. And if I'm too fast, please drag me back. Mr. Felix, am I too fast? Hello, Mr. Felix.
no, you are not.
Okay, thank you. So,
You
like
are
I
not.
said,
You are not. You are not.
thank you. So, like I said, how are these devices allocated? We shared from the corporate headquarters. It hits the zonal DZM office, in some cases, maybe the zonal managers. Now, when these devices get to this zonal manager, it is expected that they are distributed evenly and properly. Please take note of those words, because when I say properly, evenly would have mean, okay, let everybody get. But the truth is, some offices already have, while some don't even have at all. So you now have to allocate these devices properly to ensure that some offices who have power should not be getting devices like tablets. Some offices who have constant light, like I don't need 24 hours light, after all, we know the Nigeria situation, but at least we have light at some point. Those offices should not be getting the devices like tablets. They'll get more of laptop. I'm not saying they shouldn't get laptop, but at least there should be some level of giving offices that have power outage often to get things like tablets and laptops, so that when they charge these devices, they will be able to use it for some time before these devices will go off. I hear people say, where do you expect me to charge it? We have not had light in this post office for the past 2 years. Very true. In fact, I visited an office like that. In fact, they don't even have cable. But the truth of the matter is, how do you charge your cell phone? That's the passion we're talking about. How do you charge your cell phone? So if you're able to charge your cell phone, you should be able to charge some of these devices either from your homes or nearby shops, so that you bring them and be able to capture your items. So please let us take note of that. Then the DZM. So I think that first goes to the DZM. So when we distribute our devices, let us take note of the peculiarity of the office. And we also observe that many a time when we are distributing these devices, we tend to focus on the back offices instead of the front offices, like our counters, our mail office, our writing duties. You discover that someone in maybe human resource office, for example, will be having a laptop and probably even one tablet, whereas the post office somewhere within your district probably does not even have a cell phone to capture. If we do that, we are not distributing these devices properly. Because the truth of the matter is, like I said, we are making plans to ensure that there will be adequate devices. But pending when we get to that level, we should maximize what we have now to be able to get the desired output. So please, if the devices in your office are not properly distributed, recently I wrote a memo, I was directed to do a memo requesting for devices on the counter, mail office, and back and I wrote other offices. It was so appalling that some of the devices that were under other offices outweighs all the devices that were both on the counter, the mail office, and probably the writing duty. It ought not to be so. So please, going forward from here, I want to admonish us. I know it's not easy because actually we are dealing with orgas. Sometimes you have to give your guy a tablet. That is normal. But let's not just focus on giving all the orgas the tablet and now suffering the end users who are supposed to be using this tablet. The same thing applies to laptop. Even when you issue laptop to a back office or an administrative office, when there is need for the front office to use that laptop, nothing stops, it's an official laptop. After all, you didn't put the person's name that can take it home and keep it in the house. As long as the person brings it to the office, you can go there and say, sorry, there's traffic on the counter, there's traffic in our main office. We would like to please borrow your laptop. I remember in those days in Benin, the APM's laptop was always in my office. She will say, keep it there when you need it. In the evening, I give it back to her. So she felt that we need it more than she was using it in the office. So the same thing, it's just good rapport. Please, I'm not saying you should go and be quarreling with your boss. Please, I must emphasize that. But let us try and see how we can manage these devices and ensure that it is being used for the job. Now, how are these devices documented? Many times we have asked for records of distribution lists. What are the numbers of computers you have in the offices, numbers of tablets, numbers of printer, handheld scanners. And when I sit down in the office and look at our reports, sometimes I just burst into laughter. The reason being that what you submit this month, if I ask for that same thing the next month, it varies. Now, if it varies as in probably reduction, there should be a level of saying these ones have gone bad. No, sometimes you will discover that the variance is just so obvious, as if someone is sitting somewhere just copying anything. It means there's actually no proper documentation of this thing. Some time ago, we designed a form for documentation of our devices. I know that most of the zones currently may not be using that form because then I was also in the field too. I think we were doing it to some extent. But the truth of the matter is, no matter how cumbersome we think that form is actually to ensure proper documentation of our devices so that we cannot just wake up one morning and say, this office used to have 3 computers and someone walks to the counter, it's only one we are not seeing. Who took the second one? Where did the other one go? Who reallocated the other computers? These were the ideas behind the designs of those forms that time. So that when a computer is attached to an office, you have the detail of that computer, ranging from even the model, the specification of the computer, where that computer is allocated. When there is a change in the office of allocation, there should be some form of documentation. And that brings me to the synergy that is supposed to be existing between the DZMs and even the ICT officers at the district level or post office. At intervals, we're supposed to be sending some form of returns to our DZM, who in turn can now forward to headquarters when the need arises. But what we observe is that it's only when headquarters request DZM, we need so report in 2 days or 24 hours. They will say, the time is too short. How can you be requesting for such report 24 hours? But we expected that these are reports that should have been updated on either a weekly, monthly, or as the case may be, so that when the need arises to use it to make an informed judgment, we won't have to be running helter-skelter to request for this information. So please, we will still have to either revert back to our form DCO1 to DCO6, probably make some form of modifications on them because maybe we feel that some of the areas are making it cumbersome. But the truth is that the idea behind it is to ensure proper documentation so that people don't just walk away with our devices, people don't just redirect our devices, people don't just keep our devices somewhere and we will just forget about them. Please, I want us to take note of that. I want us to respond, please. Are we still in the class? Just respond at least.
We are here.
Okay, very well. I like it like that. I don't want to be the one talking. So I've said 2 things. I will go to the third one. The third one is a little bit closer to the second one, which is how are these devices protected? How are these devices protected? Let me quickly add, some of us, in fact, I thank God I've also been on the field. Some of us, we are, as ICT officers in our districts, we really don't pay close attention to the devices that are under our watch. Actually, we don't. Because the truth of the matter is that you come to your counter or you go to any of your offices where you have devices, you discover that the mouse you issued to somebody or the mouse that was attached to that computer is no longer there. Maybe the computer used to have a Dell mouse. All of a sudden, the computer is having HP mouse or probably Acer mouse. You won't even bother to ask, like, what happened to the mouse that was there? You just give it the wave of the hand and go. Somebody will take an original device from your counter and probably replace it with whichever one he has in the house. I'm just saying that it's a scenario, but I'm not saying it, but I know it happens because we are not protective of our devices. We are not taking proper care of these devices. People tamper with our devices. Your system, that's why I said that from DCO1 to DCO6 is important. If you know the capacity of your system, my system is supposed, don't think that the people you are working with, they are not IT inclined. Some of them they even know more than you. You have a system that has 500 gig. All of a sudden, you come one day and check your system specification is now having 250. Because you don't even have the documentation of your system, you can't even tell whether someone has replaced your hard drive with another one. But the truth of the matter, if there's any form of replacement of hard drive in an office, it's supposed to be your duty. But yet, people fiddle with this system. They remove RAM from your system, replace the RAM, or probably feel they needed the RAM somewhere. They just remove one of your RAM and leave your own as 2 gig instead of 4 gig. Yet, you will still not notice. So please, let us also be protecting our devices properly. It is important. Let us be protecting them properly. Now, how are these devices maintained? We don't need to wait till our system breaks down before we do routine check on our system. It's a problem. It even happens in the headquarters too. I'm not saying it's only at the district or post office level. It's only when they will now say the system did not come up. That's why we will now go there and be scanning virus, be checking the next thing, you push it there and format the thing. I've often emphasized that formatting is a last resort. It's not something that you should just do anytime they say the system did not do this, did not boot. You just put the Otigba CD and format. Please, let us be doing some level of routine maintenance from time to time on our system, because when you maintain these systems, they perform optimally. You don't expect a system that you are not maintaining to be the same the way it was 1 year ago when they brought it. So I don't want to, though we are working on something to specifically state how often you should be maintaining it, but you should know that every morning, it's part of ICT duties, we'll get there. Every morning when you come to the office, you are supposed to walk around and check your devices and ensure they are in good condition. For those of us who do scan every morning, you scan your system. For those of us who do system optimization as a way of defragmentation and all of that, you do it in the morning. For those of us who do blowing, please, like I always say, if you don't know how to blow, don't blow the working materials in the system away. People have blown system and the system refused to come up. So, but please, even when you want to blow the dust, because our offices are actually dusty, I know that. So if you know the offices are dusty, create time, blow your system so that these systems can work very well. But some of us will leave this system till the system is now dead. The system, even when someone passes that the system, you can even see the cobweb with your eyes inside the system. Even when someone passes, you click on something on the system, it keeps dragging, and the next thing you say is, don't mind these NIPOST people, that's also your computer that they supply. But the truth is that at the time those systems were supplied to you, they were good and in good condition as at the time they were supplied to you. They didn't give you used system. They were new, probably. It is over time that you have been using it that the system started foot dragging, now taking time to perform tasks that you want the system to perform. So please, let us take maintenance of our devices seriously. It is very, very, very important. It is very, very, very important. Now, are these devices actually used for the purpose it was allocated? I think Mr. Felix can attest to this. Many a time we talk in the office and say, people use government time. That's not my problem. The time is not even my problem. Use government devices to foster their own agenda. Good. Where person dey work, na e dey chop. When I mean work place, that's why they call it workshop. I'm not saying you cannot use the device to do other things, send mail, check your mail, all this. But you should not now convert the device like one person told me the other day. And please, I wanted to install AutoCAD in my system. It did not enter. And I asked the person, when did NIPO start using AutoCAD to deliver mails? How can somebody say he wants to come and install AutoCAD in a system that is allocated to his office for operation? knowing fully well that even AutoCAD on its own it's very heavy. So you now start using the system to do AutoCAD, and at the end of the day, you come and complain. These ICT people they don't come and check this. My system is not very slow. I will click something, I will fold my hand. Why? Because the people are actually not using it for the purpose they are supposed to use the system. So it is your responsibility too to ensure that they are using it. That will bring us to some level of restriction. I think it's part of the presentation. Some level of restriction we are supposed to put on our system. Nobody just come and install or uninstall anything, come and start watching video, play the whole video, your small data. Probably you are not even using Galaxy. You decided to recharge your small gig. At the end of the day, they will say in one day you have consumed 10 gig. You'll be shouting, this DM is not giving me money. But you're actually not maximizing what you are giving. So please, these are issues we should look at critically so that we will be able to perform optimally. I'll pause before I go to the next slide. That's how I do mine. If you have questions, something to say concerning these 5 issues I've outlined. Thank you. Are we there? I don't necessarily have to finish the slides. Wherever my time is up, we'll continue some other time. Are we together?
So, yes, sir, we are with you, sir.
Very well. I hope you got all that I explained. So please, if you have any observation on some of the things I said and you want to respond to them, I'll gladly take it in the next 3 minutes, please. If there is none, I'll move to the next slide. Okay. I'll take that as a no. That means it's clear. Should I continue, please? All right. Now, that brings me to this classification of post office. Recently, we sat back at the office and felt that in order to ensure that the devices that we distribute are properly allocated, we now felt that there will be need for us to classify our office. I've talked about this. I'll just be brief about this aspect. Now, we classify the offices into high, which is urban, medium, which is semi-urban, and low, which is rural. Now, let me explain that. Why we have to put high at the back is this. There are some post offices that may not be the GPOs in your city, but they are very busy. They have high traffic. Such offices should be given attention. Like, for example, where I'm coming from, like Benin, the GPO is at Airport Road, but an office like Apapa Post Office is like a pole away from Airport Road, so you cannot say that one is a semi-urban or even a rural post office. To me, that falls under high too. So that's why I had to put high at the back. So such offices should at least have the basic devices that will enable them perform their task electronically. For example, when we were discussing the GMICT that day, he actually exhaustively discussed this. He said that offices like that should have systems like desktop. One of the reasons is that systems like desktop, I'm not saying it should be desktop alone. The reason is that these offices probably are in town. These offices probably will have access to light. These offices, because they are either GPOs or semi-GPOs, they'll probably even have a generator. So in other words, when you deploy devices like desktop to these offices, there is a tendency that they will be used and not just packed up there because they have a power issue. So such offices, we now say that what is the maximum system capacity or maximum device capacity that those offices should, minimum please, not maximum, those offices should have. We said, one, they should have at least a computer for a registration officer. There should be a computer for those operating the EMS service. And you know now we have EMS and PASO, so nothing stops us from giving them either 1 or 2 desktop, depending on the availability of the desktop. We also said that, of course, such offices will have volumes of post office boxes. So based on that, they should have a dedicated system for their PLB issues. This means that they should have a dedicated system in their writing duty. Remember, we exhaustively looked at the PLB yesterday, And we notice that there will be tendency for us to either scan or print. So therefore, there should be a printer attached to those PLB offices. We also thought of it that they will do mail office processing. At least there should be one system in the mail office. You cannot give all the registration offices, ROOs, that's it now. You cannot give everybody one computer each, one computer each. I remember what we used to do those days is that when the ROO2 is true, what letters is the person dispatching? 5, 6, or 10, as the case may be, just to make some few clicks and push it to the next office. When that person is true, he stands up from the system, the other person takes over. In fact, recently we have even been thinking in a direction too. We noticed that even in offices, we have so many ICT officers who probably are not too engaged. I'm not saying you are not busy, but you are not too engaged. In fact, the GMICT the other day was suggesting we will look at exploring the option of, for places like mail office, because of the scarce device that we have there, if your office has ICT officers that are probably not too engaged, there's nothing stopping you from deploying one ICT officer to sit on that computer and do the dispatch for them. But that does not mean that they are not supposed to do it themselves. I'm just saying that because by the time you start doing this, they'll say it's ICT responsibility. It has never been and it will not be ICT responsibility to do operation work. I think Mr. Felix emphatically stated that yesterday when he was talking about creating users' name and privileges for ICT officer. He said it is the district manager's responsibility, and hence he could not give the deactivation or reactivation of a boss duty to an ICT officer. But that does not mean you cannot support them. So we felt there should be a system at the mail office. Then remember, we will always be capturing IPS. There should be at least a system that is used to do your IPS activity. Then there should be a laptop that is kind of in a float, so that when there is power outage, you can always run back to that laptop and be working with it pending when the power comes back. Remember, it's an urban post office. Then we now went to the medium class of post office, or what we call the semi-urban. Semi-urban is closely related to urban. Hence, they also have desktop. After all, they have power. They also have laptop. They can have printer. If available, they can have a tablet. If available. But what did we notice recently? Some offices got over 40 tablets. In fact, there's a particular zone that got over 67. And the most amazing part of it is that the tablet was distributed at the zonal headquarters. Every organ has got one. As if that was not enough, district managers got. But the idea behind it was that rural post offices, which falls under the low class of post offices, are supposed to be empowered with tablets and probably laptops. The reason is they may not have access to power, they may not have access to weather generator or electricity. Hence, they may probably have access to a point where they can charge somewhere, either from a neighbor or from their houses. So when they do that, they can always come to the office. Their volumes may not also be too high. Come to the office and capture with either their tablet or their laptop. The same thing with like ZMPC and the other offices who probably will do just dispatches of bags and the other things. They should have access to laptops and if possible tablets as well, so that they can always do their work, whether at midnight or anytime they are supposed to push that back. So those were the classifications we did lately, and we felt we will share it with the ICT officers so that if we adopt this, we'll be able to fully maximize the little devices we have on the field so that we'll get the desired result. Now, I want to talk about antivirus too. We noticed that antivirus management is spending money to buy antivirus annually, and this antivirus, both the keys, the application itself, is being sent to the various zones, district, and offices, yet we are not using it. I now told myself I'll be asking us today, what are the challenges with installing this antivirus? Our systems currently running on district wide antivirus in your offices? How can we ensure that our systems are protected from malware and other forms of attack if we don't install antivirus? You are aware that as of today, we have not started investing on original operating system, which means most of our systems are running on what we call Timber. And these systems are vulnerable. Now, we have been able to establish annually we'll probably be getting an original antivirus which could serve us for 365 days. Thanks to Mr. Felix, every year What he does is he will either send it as a CD, look for a way to put it on the cloud for us, the solution, so that we can install them. Then he will distribute the keys accordingly. But it's so appalling that at the end of the year, when he's doing his own audit trail, he will discover that bulk of the keys he has sent to our offices for use, most of us didn't use it. Probably we just jettison the thing and felt it's not important, or probably because we are using our Alphas, which is a free version, and we feel it's so secure. But the truth is, it's not ideal. The idea behind it is to at least, we have Otimba applications running, we have Otimba operating system. Let us still have one thing that can still be helping us fight against all these attacks. But because we feel we are not securing any database or nothing, but you forgot that you are hitting various sites on your counter. So please, on this one, I would want us to respond. If we are having challenges, Mr. Felix is online. He will take note of your challenges and we will go back. We'll look at how best we can address these challenges. But the idea of we getting this antivirus and not using them actually is not acceptable by the GM. He expects us to install them. If we have settings issue, we couldn't navigate through the settings, we can always ask questions. I've often emphasized nobody has a monopoly of knowledge. The truth of the matter is that it's all about dedication and commitment. When you look at it again and again and again, the thing does not have a choice than to stick. So when you go to the settings and you feel this thing is blocking your application, that's why you have resolved to remove it. It's not the right thing to do. We have had calls in the office, the thing will block us from installing certain things. We'll just disable and install and enable back, or probably do some settings and add the what we are trying to install, add it to the settings of the antivirus, so that the antivirus can begin to see it as something that is correct and not as a virus. So please, I want to ask, what are the issues we are having with this antivirus? Because we are determined to protect our devices, we are determined to protect our applications. So please tell us, what is the challenge of the antivirus? I'll pause a bit.
Hello, sir. I'm
Listening
hearing this for the first time because I joined recently.
So please, your name, please, your
boss.
name.
My name is Benjamin Kolawole, Abeokuta GPO.
Okay,
I'm hearing of the antivirus for the first time.
Yes.
Yes, I'm hearing it for the first time about the antivirus because I think we need it.
Okay. Mr. Felix?
Yeah.
Are you there, please?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. Did you hear his response?
He said he's just hearing for the.
He's hearing about antivirus for the first time.
Antivirus, yes, I'm hearing it for the first time. Yes. Okay. Because we don't have the antivirus on our system.
What happened is that we distribute the antivirus to all DZM ICT. Like Abeokuta is under Ibadan.
Yes.
And I can remember that we gave them 50 copies of the antivirus, yes, to 50 users. And they did not tell us that they are even having shortage or whatever it is. So I think if they have not installed it, the problem is with the DZM. I discovered that some of the antivirus keys, by the time I start checking them from the company site, I found out that so many of them just run like that without being used. And it's really, really unfortunate.
Okay.
Last year, the total numbers of keys that ran without being used was about 150 of them. 150 keys. Out of 390 keys, 150 were not used. We just wasted that money.
Okay, thank you very much.
So we really need to, yes, sir.
Hello?
Hello? Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yes,
so, Mr. Benjamin, right? I'm sure I got your name right. The truth of the matter is the antivirus is there. So when you go back, discuss, I think Mr. Soroye is the person in Abeokuta. You are working with him.
Yes, ICT manager, yes.
Okay, yes, please discuss with Mr. Soroye. Let Mr. Soroye liaise with the DZM. He's our Oga. I know he cannot keep the keys in his office. He does not have use for the keys. It's not something they use to social. So don't even think he deliberately didn't want to give you. I think you people probably is misinformation. So Mr. Soroye can discuss with him. I'm sure he will release the keys to you. And please, if there's any office that is having issues with installing having issues with updating and so on and so forth, you can get back to Mr. Felix. He's ready to provide the needed support so that we ensure that our system, at least for once, let us have a genuine thing on our system. Let me also say that.
Right.
Yes, hello.
Yes,
Good
please.
afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Eru Philip Richard from Surrey, Lagos. I have I have some couple of problems with my some of the antivirus keys. I requested for, I think, for like 10, but I was given 5. Out of the 5, 3 of the keys were not accessible. It was telling me wrong users or something. So I kept trying before I was able to install just 2 out of 5. So I really don't know what happened.
Okay. Have you escalated the problem since then?
Yes, I did. I did
who?
to my DZM. That's Mr. Damina.
Okay, that's Mr. Reverend Damina. Okay.
Reverend
What
Damina.
is going to happen is this. While we try to also reach Reverend have his email. If you don't, at the end of this class, he'll probably give you his email. When you have issues like that, for speedy response, just escalate it to him. You understand? Mr. Felix, Mr. Felix.
Okay.
Do you know Mr. Felix?
Yes, I do.
So just escalate it to him, and I'm very sure you'll get the response as and when due.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, is there any other issue that has to do with this antivirus so that we will not be wasting our keys and invariably wasting our money for buying this original antivirus? All right, thank you. Okay, before I proceed, let me just use this opportunity to say this. I also noticed that there is no consistency in our operating system. In fact, recently I had to call the operations guys at headquarters that we need to ensure consistency. The fact that we are not using the original one does not mean that some systems will still be running on Windows XP. Some will be running on Windows 7. Some will be running on Windows 10 Pro. Some will be running on Windows 10 Ultimate. Please, I want to advise, it's just an advice, to make things easier for us, that we should ensure some level of consistency. Because I remember those days when we were sharing printers in those days, you notice that when you share your printer, some will see it, some will not see it. We will start telling ourselves, this one has 32 bits, this one has 64 bits. Probably that's why it's not seeing it. They will say this one is pro, that's why the network did not connect. So please let us try to maintain consistency when we are handling our operating system. I also want to add, when we are installing applications in our system, let us desist from installing applications that are not relevant to our day-to-day activities. The reason being that, what are the things they use in the system? They use the browser. So try to install browsers for them, which could be probably more than one browser at least, because some of us are used to either Firefox or Chrome. Of course, Internet Explorer will definitely be there if you use UC, whatever, but just install it and ensure there's enough browser for them to use. Probably we'll have to open an Adobe file. Probably you have use for Word. By the time you do this basic installation, why would you now go and be installing CorelDRAW on a system that is on the counter? To do what? Do they draw on the counter? So please, you want to respond?
Mr. Kingsley, I want to just throw small this thing on what Mr. Phillips said. On the issue of
antivirus.
On the issue of antivirus and impromptu response.
Where we are using now.
I want to talk, but you've already started.
Let me just let you talk. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I want to say that if at all it doesn't get any quick response, contacting Mr. Felix might be jumping a lot of protocols. Why not he send a mail, copy his DZM, and also copy Mr. Felix? Then
he should send a mail to his DZM, not copy his DZM. The mail should be addressed to his DZM.
It's to his DZM, copy Mr. Felix. And that would be good, rather than just contacting him directly.
Very well. That's very okay. That's very okay. So I hope you got that, Richard from Surulere. So when you are sending a mail, you must send a mail to your DZM, because the truth of the matter is the headquarters is not closer to you. That's the idea of the zoning structure. So your headquarters is Ikeja, where Reverend Damina is first. So it's only when the issues cannot be addressed as issues are supposed to be escalated. But however, on this case, send a mail to your DZM. reminding him of the issues you had with the 3 keys, and copy Mr. Felix, please. It's not, we'll see how we can handle that. So I think I've said what I wanted to say concerning the consistency in our operating system and all of that. And the next thing I would have looked at is the device sharing. I think in the course of gisting earlier in the class, I said that. So let us try as much as possible to share devices. Let us not personalize these devices. It is not your property. It is government property. Even if it is issued to your office, it is your office is issued to. When you are leaving the office, you are supposed to drop it. So please let us try as much as possible to share it and ensure that we are able to deliver on our mandate. I didn't plan to do any form of practical in this class, but however, if the need for practical arises, I can reschedule any practical class to demonstrate anything you are not clear about. For example, Mr. Felix he pointed out yesterday that there is need for us to create some level of access, which has to do with our administrator on your system, and probably you have a limited user on your system. I'm sure most of us can do that. But if we cannot do it and we feel there is need for us to run through the process, we can always run through the process. But don't forget, the process varies in operating system. I may show you from this, my operating system, and you are using XP back in wherever your post office is, or you are using Windows 7. It's just minor difference anyway, but it's the same thing. So device sharing, let us adhere to it. I don't need to, now, let me just now quickly run through some basic things. I didn't want to start with this because that's what most of us were expecting. We already, for those of us that have just been employed, we'll be wondering, what is even my responsibility? Why am I an ICT officer? What is expected of me as an ICT officer? I'll run through this, and I think my time is up. Mr. Felix, do I still have time? Mr. Felix? Mr. Felix? Can you hear me, please?
Maybe 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 okay, let me just flip through the slide and know where to go and talk about. Okay. Let me talk about this. Now, I need to quickly say this. What are the basic knowledge you should have as an ICT officer in order for you to be effective in your office? Let me first stress that as an ICT officer, your people or the people around you see you as you know it all. Even your APM will give you technophone and tell you, sorry, I said APM, I'm sorry. Your DM will give you technophone and tell you that go and fix this phone for me. Are you not an ICT officer? They have given it to me before. So the truth of the matter is there is need for you to read wide, to browse, to learn new things, try your hands on new things. But basically, for you to be effective in this job, you must, one, have basic knowledge in postal operation. You are working in the post. You cannot say, I'm an ICT officer, I'm an ICT officer. I was asking some people in my office the other day if they have seen a lead seal before. They said, which one is lead seal? And I asked them to tie back for me to dispatch to Lagos. I was dispatching a network cable and somebody was putting the lead seal before the label. And I busted into laughter. And the person, and I said, I didn't blame him. He probably has never paid attention to where somebody was tying it back. But what am I saying in essence? You work with the post. You should know the procedures of the post. You should know how mail processes are being done, from acceptance to delivery. You should know mail routes, like when they say, so that when you are even telling somebody, dispatch it on the system, how do you tell the person the route the person is supposed to dispatch it through? So that you don't start misrouting bags on the system while the original bag is going to another route. You should also be conversant with the accounting processes of the post. How do payments move from counter to CS, counter to what do you call supervisor counter to CS cash to the bank and all of those stuff? If you don't know this process manually, you will not be able to guide someone on how to carry out this function on the system. Also, you should be conversant with all NIPOST products and services, be it conventional or electronic services. Now, day after day, some services are being rolled out. Some of us only hear about it. NIPOST launch e-commerce, this. Some of us have not even seen the application, but they are using it across post offices. Some of us used to hear IFS. I know for sure that there are some offices that does not even know the URL of IFS. Aside this IPMS has become a household name, and I must commend Mr. Felix because of the way it's being driven. So it has become a household name, and most times we are not used to the IPMS. Even the IPS URL, I think at the time it was on NIPOST website, after which some of us had to store it somewhere because it's actually numbers. We had to write it somewhere so that when you are looking for this. So what am I saying? Familiarize yourself with the terrain. Familiarize, nothing stop you from going to the mail office. Don't just go there, look, cover your computer, open it and cover it and do whatever you have to do. Still look at it. Okay, this is how these bags are being moved. Some of us are new to the system. You have never worked in the post office before. So this is an opportunity for you to know the process so that you'll be able to understand it even electronically. Most importantly, an ICT officer should have knowledge in system installation, maintenance, repairs, network, that's LAN extension, basic troubleshooting skills, as well as knowledge in all in-house applications. Let me quickly explain that. We send systems to you. It is your responsibility to bring it out and do the configuration, do the installation, and set it up for them. When these systems, before they even start giving issue, you are supposed to be maintaining the system. You are supposed to carry out some form of basic repairs on this system. It is only when it becomes a major repair that you start consulting. And sometimes you can even learn more than basic to even know and have an in-depth knowledge of how to carry out repairs on this system. Thank God the internet is there these days. All of us run to the internet whenever we discover that there are certain things you cannot do. If you need to know how to lose a fan now, you can type it on the internet. How do I lose a standing fan? They will show you how to lose a standing fan. So let us take advantage of the information that are valuable to us, both on the web, physically, to be able to perform our task effectively. ICT officers should have interpersonal skills of providing first-tier support to all end users. Like I said, it's part of your responsibility to be able to teach the people how to use the application. You cannot teach what you don't know. Like the IPMS we are talking about, some of us have users' name. Until Mr. Felix comes to do a demo or whatever, we never log in our houses to see if I click here, what will it show? That's how I learned the IPMS. I used to play with it even on my phone. Then I'll just plug in my data and say, okay, if I want to deactivate a bus, how will they deactivate a bus? These are things you should play with. I'm not saying you should play with the live site, but you must learn the processes so that when they ask you, you will be able to teach them. You can't offer what you don't have. And also you must have interpersonal skill. You are imparting knowledge. They see you as their trainer. You have to teach them. The other day, they said, one of my friends said, the people are untrainable. And when he said the people are untrainable, I busted into laughter. But the truth is, to train people, you have to be patient. Mr. Felix, did I call your name? So there's nobody that is untrainable. Everybody is trainable. It's just patience. That's the truth. People don't learn in the same pace. It happens even in school. That's why everybody not they understand. Please mute your mic, whoever that person is. Please mute your mic. I think that's Obioma. So, do you understand? So that's that. So let me wrap it up. All of that things, I can forward the slide. You go through it. No, don't worry about all these ones. Let me wrap it up. There's something I wanted to say. I hope I didn't skip that. All these ones, you can always read them up. You can always read them up. You can always read them up. My time is up. My time is up. Okay, I'll stop there. You can read every other thing. Thank you so much for your time. I'll take questions now. Are we still here?
Hello.
Are we still?
Yeah, we are.
My Oga.
Are we trying to talk in sense?
You have to get a good network location.
No, my network is very okay.
Okay, you're welcome, sir.
All right. I think two basic things. When the last devices were sent out, there was an instruction from the GM ICT on the basis for allocation.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sure which some of us were able to adhere to. And of course, you know that
did not.
They passed from one location to another.
Yes.
Yeah, we were able to effectively do that based on the instructions we were given. Okay. And even when the request was made for reporting of the exact location of the devices, I think at the corporate headquarters, maybe further inquiries or query would have been sent out to the zonal managers on if there's an observable or observations as to the exact locations that were different from where they were supposed to be sent to. Okay. Then on the issue of a barcode scanner,
Yes.
what we have been able to do in our zone, we've been able to activate even we had to even procure here to send to offices so that the use of barcode will be faster. It will save time. The time of somebody trying to type in a 3 manifest in a day, in 15 minutes, that is taken care of. And we have to even aid them to restructure their pattern so that they can be a smooth flow of the use of the barcode. So thank you for your expository talk. It's been quite enlightening. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Kingsley.
I think I have
no other question.
Any other question?
Wait, so make them ask.
No, I'm here.
I have a question, sir.
Please introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, my name is Phillips from Lagos again. I heard Oga Irabo talked about something that has to do with capturing on with a barcode. For a local item that you intend to capture, do you do that while the barcode is being stapled on the envelopes, or until when you must have processed those data online and you now scan them? I know for IPS is just the direct for IPS that is incoming. Do you get incoming mail? You need a direct operation that you just scan through and you have the details of all the things you need to see. But for a local transaction that when you do acceptance from customers, how do you handle that using a handheld scanner? Please enlighten.
Okay, very quickly. Before now, when you use the IPMS, you are supposed to impute a barcode at a specific feed. You remember that? When you are using the IPMS, you are supposed to type in your barcode. And that barcode, you are getting it from somewhere, either from the EMS receipt, if you are dealing with EMS local domestic, or from the barcode, that roll of barcode, if you are dealing with registered letter. That EMS receipt, if you point your barcode reader to that barcode and you click where you want it to be, it will capture and put it there for you now. Do you understand?
No, I'm lost, sir. Maybe you should come again. I'm trying to picture what you are saying.
Before now, I know that the system has been designed now to generate barcode automatically. That's the IPMS solution. You know IPMS, not IPSO. I've often said there's different. That IPMS solution now has the capability of generating barcode. But even at that, it also has the capability that you can type in barcode. Now, when you get to where you are supposed to type in your barcode, if you click, your cursor will be blinking there, right? The barcode the barcode you are supposed to type, you are getting it from somewhere. If you are dealing with EMS domestic, the barcode will be on that EMS receipt on top. Is that not where you are getting it from? If you are dealing with EMS domestic, if you point your handheld scanner, if you point your handheld scanner to that barcode on top, it will capture and reflect on your page now. It will save you the time of typing 7, 6, 3, this. Do you get what we are trying to say?
Oh yes, I get that aspect, sir. But what I'm talking about is those customers' informations that will be on the envelope. That they're usually written in biro.
Customer information is not barcode now. That's name and address of sender and receiver. Is that not what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying it won't pop up. It won't pop up those information except for the barcode. That's what I.
Yes, it's for the barcode. It won't pop up the information because the information is not on the system before now.
Okay, that's why I wanted to be clear.
Yes. Now the information is not on the system, so it will not pop up the information.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question, please? Okay, in the absence of questions, I will have to take a bow and allow Mr. Felix to continue. Thank you so much for your time. It's been an interactive class. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kingsley. That's a very wonderful.
Hello.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you so much, and God bless you for actually creating time for small boys like us. Out of your busy schedule. You created time for us to actually learn, and we are very grateful. I'm very, very hopeful, and I believe that some of us have actually learned a lot of things in respect of this of the job schedule that we have in the office. And I believe that even when we resume, some of us, our behavior will change, and the way we reason in respect of the job will change. Everything concerning the job, even our knowledge on the job will change. Definitely, even if you have not gained anything, I believe that you must have gained at least one small thing that you can add up and make yourself more useful in wherever office that you are deployed to. So, Mr. Kingsley, thank you so much for this wonderful insights and this wonderful presentation. Thank you
It's
so
a
much.
pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, so at this time now, we want to just bring up somebody that come and tell us about networking. Sorry for next time, what we are going to do, the first 10 people that will register, they will have we'll give them at least something to chew. You know, maybe we'll just send you your
And
meat
dash you
pie and
data.
your yes, or maybe your data, the way you want it. Maybe your just a meat pie and drink. I believe that meat pie and drink, malt is 150, meat pie is 250, so it's 400 naira. So we can just convert it to data if you want. But if you want it as money, we can as credit. We can also give it to you as credit. If you want it as cash, we also give it to you as cash. So that's what we are going to do in our next meeting. The first 10 people to actually come will be entitled to at least refreshments. Okay, so without wasting time, Mr. Sunday, I want to invite you to come on board. Mr. Sunday, please, we want you to come on board to come and present because it's Mr. Cephas that is supposed to take it, but Sunday is holding brief for Cephas. So Sunday, you are welcome on board.
Welcome.
You can. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Somotos Samuel Sunday from Networking and Infrastructure Unit, ICT Department Corporate Headquarters Abuja. Actually, I'm not the one that's supposed to take this class, but the person that ought to have taken it could not really come up at this time because of one thing or the other. So, and within a space of 1 hour, I just tried to put myself up. So you just bear with me in the way I'm going to present it because it caught me unaware within the last 1 hour. But all the same, I believe we all gain by the special grace of God. So I was asked to, thank you, sir. I was asked to just take a basic networking. And on this note, I'll be talking about basic LAN setting. In other words, how to crimp cable. At this point in time, I know some of our guys know how to go about it, but I'll be talking precisely to people, especially our new staff, who are probably in some of these districts where there are no LAN. They can even use it as an opportunity to create LAN in their various offices for effective service delivery, as in terms of operations. So on this note, I will try to share a slide with us as I open my computer. Sorry, can we see my screen? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. So just like I rightly said, you bear with me in the way I package the whole thing. What is important is what I'll be telling us. So I'll be telling us about how to create LAN, how to crimp cable. That is one. Then secondly, how to troubleshoot after we might have been able to put up a LAN. And before I go further, I want to believe we all know what is RJ45 and cable, either Cat 5 or Cat 6, because I don't want to take our time. I'm given between 20 to 30 minutes. So I want to be fast about it. So I want a response. RJ45 and cable, that is Cat 5 and Cat 6. We all know it. Yes or no? Anybody? I've not gotten any response.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay, fine. So from there, I will just proceed straight away to the next page. I just put this up as what is RJ45, how it came to be. Some of us, even if we are asked for the full meaning of RJ45, we may not know. It's just registered jack. And if we have time, I can send this one for further study on it. So I don't want to take our time. So now I will just start straight away from here. Since we all know cable and RJ45, how do we put them together to form a network cable? That is what I'm going to take us within the next 5 to 10 minutes now. So I put here that there are two basic internet cable house. What I'm trying to say there is we normally have two ends of cable that normally goes out. Then how do we now crimp those two ends? That is what I want to share. So in crimping them, we have what we call a straight through cable and cross cable. Straight through cable and cross through cable. What do I mean? The first one, which is straight through, is a situation whereby we crimp the two ends, whereby we use the same color coding. What I mean by color coding is the arrangement of the cable inside the RJ45. We all know that we have 4 pairs of twisted cable inside that cable. We have 4 pairs of wire inside the cable. They are twisted together. It's left for us to untwist them and arrange them inside RJ45. So the arrangement is what I want to be talking about now. So how do we arrange them inside the RJ45? We have 2 types of arrangement. That's what I'm trying to say. Straight through and cross over cable. The straight through is when we have the 2 ends being arranged the same way. Now, why do we need to arrange them the same way, and why do we need to arrange them the other way around? So I will still be explaining further on that. So I said a straight through cable which is used to connect to a hub or switch. In other words, let me just simplify it so that we don't waste our time. In a straight, when we have straight through cable, that means we are putting that cable into our switches or our routers from our system, not from system to system, not from switch to switch. So that is where we use a straight through. Then the crossover cross Ethernet cable type is when we are trying to use cable to connect a what's it called, a device of the same type. This device of the same type that I mean is when we are connecting switch to switch, probably for the purpose of extension. We know the highest length we can have for any cable is 100 meters for us to have our full strength of network. Am I communicating?
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is when we have our cable, we cannot have more than 100 meters of it. Any attempt to have it more than 100, you start losing the strength. That is when we start saying, in fact, this at times that constitutes some of our issue at our district, whereby we say, in fact, the internet is not fast. Though it's not the only issue that we normally have, but it constitutes part of it. So, in other words, we shouldn't have more than 100 meter length cable. So, and at times we feel like, okay, maybe one office to the other is more than 100 meters. We now decide to bridge it with either switch or with router. So when we are using router to connect to another router or switch to another switch, that is when we use cross over cable or cross Ethernet cable. I come again once more. When we want to connect to a device of the same type, switch to switch, router to router, even at times we can even connect system to system if you know how to do it. So when we are doing that, we should have it at the back of our mind that we are going to use cross cable Ethernet. Now, how do we now arrange those 4 pairs of wires inside the cable to the RJ45? So the arrangement is what we just need to master. And once we are able to do it once or twice, before you know it, you won't even need to be cracking your brain. It's already registered there. Now, I'll be starting with straight through wiring or straight through cabling. Now, inside that inside that Cat 5 or Cat 6 cable, as the case may be, we have green color, we have blue color, we have orange and brown. Those are the four colors we have, though pairs of them. And in each of the color, we have full green, like green. Now we have full green, then the other one will be green white. For that of blue, we have the one that is full blue, then the other one blue and white blue. Then we also have orange, full orange color, then white orange. Then the last one is brown and white brown. So now, how do we arrange them in order for us to have our net, in order to have our communication? So this is how we arrange them. So we first of all put up white green. Later on, we'll see how we arrange them properly. So first of all, put up white green, then followed by green, then thirdly white orange, then followed by blue, by white blue, orange, white, brown, and brown. I know some of our guys that are listening know what I'm talking about. So basically, I'm trying to enlighten some of our new staff who are not where we have land anyway. So this is how we arrange them in our fingers. We try to untwist. First of all, we untwist them because they are twisted together. So we untwist them and straighten, make sure they are all straightened. Having done that, you now arrange them in this order: white, green, green, white, orange, blue, white, blue, orange, white, brown, and brown. Later on, we'll see the summary. So when we are able to arrange it in this order, that's when we call it straight through. Now, and don't forget, we will need to put RJ45 in the two ends of the wire. So in straight through, the way we arrange it here is the way we arrange it in the other end. In the two ends will be arranged in this way. That's why they call it straight through. What you have by your left is what you are going to have by your right. Now, the arrangement of that straight through, we can have it, we have A part of it and we have B part of it. But I just want us to major our memorizing on B part, because we have, I will explain better now. We can have straight through to be A standard or B standard. What do I mean by A standard and B standard? In A standard, we have it just the way I just explained it here, that you have a why this, why that, and from 1 to 8. But the other one, which we call B, what you just need doing, having memorized this 1 to 8, is just to change the position of green and white orange. You just interchange green and white orange. Interchange green and white orange. That one will form B. As we have it here, white, green, green, white, orange, blue, white, blue, orange, white, brown, and brown. That is A arrangement of straight through. Then, exchanging green and white, orange will form B part of it. Are you with me, Sir Samas?
Yes,
Are you listening? All right.
Go on, we are with you.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you. So it's either now when we want to do our cabling, it's either you decide to make it A standard or B standard for straight through, left to you, it will still work. Now, coming down to crossover cabling or cross Ethernet cabling.
Let me have it.
You have one end to be A, while the other end will be B. Don't forget, we said we use crossover cable wiring for a situation where you are connecting two devices of the same type, like switch to switch, router to router, or system to system, and you still want them to communicate. That's when we use cross cable wiring. If you try to use straight through in a situation whereby you are trying to connect two switches or two routers, you may end up not having any communication in between the two devices. So that's why they put up the cross cable wiring. And just like I was saying, for you to achieve crossover cabling, you just make one end to be A, while the other one will be B. That forms a crossover cabling, as simple as that. And I still repeat, just try to memorize one color coding, either A or B. Once you're able to get one as your own personal standard, when you are going further for crossover, you just have it at the back of your mind that you are exchanging green and white orange in the other hand. So this is a crossover cabling, the arrangement. So with what I've been saying now, how do we now put them together? That's RJ45 and that of our Cat5 or Cat6 cable, as the case may be. So I just put this up as a summary that can aid us in putting our RJ45 to cable. Now, this is supposed to be practical anyway, but I know we are learned and we can get it anyway. So to now put our RJ45 to our cable, to our Cat5 or Cat6 cable. Cat5 means category 5, then the other one category 6. That's as simple. They just shorten it to Cat5 and Cat6. So now, when we have our cable in our hand, so one, strip off about 2 inches of the Ethernet cable sheet. The end of that cable you are holding, you just try to stripe it off using I don't know in your area whether you have a striper. If you don't have, you can use either your clipping tool. There is a person where that you can easily use to stripe it. So striping it means you are removing the outer layer for you to have the 4 pairs of your wire. So when you stripe it like 2 inches, then secondly, you untwist the pairs. You know, we have 4 pairs of them inside inside the cable. So you try to untwist them. So they will now form 8 wires, but you won't untwist them at a time. You try to, you don't untwist all of them at a time. You untwist one at a time. As in, probably you first of all hold on to your orange, your green. When you hold green, untwist the green to have green and white green. Then you arrange the two. Then, okay, let me put it straight. When you are starting, you first of all hold, I'm using B standard anyway to have my straight through now. I'm using B standard. So I will now first of all hold my orange. That orange, I will try to untwist it. I'll first of all arrange orange, then I will now put white orange beside it. Then I will now go and put green. Green, I will untwist green, then add green to the two I've already, or the first two I arranged. Then that's green. So I will now keep white green. Then I will now introduce blue. That blue, I will untwist it, add white blue, then followed by blue. Then the white green that I've been keeping, then I will now hide it. Then lastly, I will now untwist brown. When I untwist brown, I will have white, brown, and brown. Then I will now add brown, then lastly, white, brown, lastly brown. So I will arrange the 8 of them in that order. So when I arrange, and mind you, when you are trying to arrange them, you will be straightening them as you are arranging them so that they will just form a straight thread. So having arranged the 8 of them, now the third point now, align the color wire according to diagram above. That's what I've just explained. Then having arranged the 8 of them together, trim all the wires to the same length. So probably when you are arranging them, one may be longer than the other. You just make sure you use your clipping tool. I believe we all have a clipping tool. You use your clipping tool to 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 cut them so that they will be of the same height, so that they will enter that RJ45 at the same time. So trim the wires to the same length, about 1.5. Remember, initially we stripe 2 inches, but when we are now trying to straighten all of them, we can cut off like maybe half of the 2 inches we already had before. Now, the 5 points inside the wire into RJ45 plug. So having done this, you now try to insert the 8 wire you've arranged in that order into the RJ45. And you need to be very careful when you are inserting them into RJ45. You must make sure that they all enter the way you arrange them. Any attempt for them to mix up, you may lose the internet, the communication you are trying to establish. And on that, before I leave that 5, when you are holding your RJ45, we have one side that has pin. That pin that looks like hook that normally enters your system. You must make sure that that pin is facing down. It's not facing you. It's facing the other side. So you must make sure that pin is not facing you per se. It's facing down. Because if it's facing you, it will contradict what you are trying to do. So just make sure it's facing the other side, not facing you. So, and 6, crimp the RJ45 plug with creeper tool. I believe every district has a creeper tool. So having done that, you now insert the RJ45 alongside with cable inside the creeper. That creeper has that RJ45 port. When you insert it, you now try to press. When you press, the whole thing crimp together. You won't be, if it's well crimped, you won't be able to separate cable from the RJ45. So that's how you do the other end. And if you do the other hand the same way you do the first one, that's when you have your straight through cable, and you can easily use it to connect your system to either switch or your system to router, as the case may be. But for crossover, the way I said it, you make one side to be A, the other side to be B. Now, I said note, if an Ethernet cable tester is available, what I'm trying to say here is we have what we call Ethernet cable tester. Before you even take it to where you are going to need it, this tester, I believe our deputy zonal manager will always make it available. For someone who is just learning it, you really need it. You always use it to test whether what you have affirmed is in order or not. Then the last thing, which I've already explained earlier on, is the issue of length. When you are having your LAN cable, you must not make it longer than 100 meters. If it's still within 100 meters, you are sure of having your full strength of internet. But if it's longer, anything longer than 100 meters, you start having maybe like 4 or 3 bars as against the normal 5 bars that you're supposed to have. So this is how to make our cable, be it straight through or crossover. Now, because of my time, so I just want to rush quickly to how we troubleshoot when we have a little challenge. That's first level troubleshooting. Anyway, let me put it that way. So how do we troubleshoot when one of our people at the counter or mail office or anywhere calls us for internet issue, or probably, they normally whenever they are not having internet, they will start shouting, ICT, I don't have internet, I cannot browse. I think this may help us anyway. So how do we troubleshoot? The first thing we look at when we are called upon for internet issue is to check our internet icon, which we can always see here. When we have our connection to be wireless, we see it in this form. And when we have it to be cabling, then we have it in form of box. Now, the first thing we even look at from afar off is this icon. At times, the user of that very system might have used a leg to pull off the RJ45 away from the system. When that one is the issue. We always see this place to be crossed with a red cross. That shows there is no cable on that system at all. We don't even need to go further when we have a kind of cross, red cross in this network icon. That means there is no cable. But when there is cable and we are having a kind of yellow amper sign, I think triangle shape, then that is telling us that there is no internet, but there is cable. Then we now try to go further to see what the problem is or where the problem lies. Then the next thing we do is just to open this, our internet icon like this. We say open internet, then we go to internet, then network and sharing center. At this point, for wireless, we always have the name of the router we are using here. Then even when we are using LAN, we still have the name we give to the LAN, we have it here. Then still we might not have our our internet. We just try to open here further. You see, at this point in time, we look at this send and receive packet. If this send and receive packets are not the number are not increasing or moving anyway, that shows there is no internet. That shows there is no internet. But we can still go further to see where the problem is. The first thing we now look, the next thing we look at now is it that the problem is from the Galaxy, as the case may be, or our service provider? How do we know whether the problem is from our service provider or is within our LAN? Now, we first of all come to where we have details here. Details here will show our IPs. IP will allow us to identify whether the problem is from our service provider or is within. Now, because I'm using my hotspot now, but still I can still explain better. So now, here you will have the IP of your system. This IP of the system you are using, that's where we have IPv4 address. That's the IP given to your system that you are using at that particular point in time. Once you cannot have an IP that local, it will always be local IP anyway, that will always start with 192. Any local IP, for as far as our region is concerned, it will always start with 192. So if you cannot have 192.168. Anything here, that means you will be having something like 69 dot something. That is telling you that you don't have network within your LAN. This shows that you don't have a network within your LAN. Probably you may have to check your LAN before you even escalate the issue of the Galaxy, either Galaxy or no Galaxy. You must make sure you have LAN within your office. So when you have it to be 192.168. Whatever, then you come down to this IP for default gateway. What is this default gateway? This default gateway is your router through which you have your internet in your LAN. Is your router. This one, you will see that I'm having the last digit there, 141. I will explain, because in your own case in office, you may not have it this way. So, but here you must always have it. You must always have your IP. But when there is no internet at all, you won't even have any IP at this point anyway. So when you this default gateway, just like I was saying, is your IP given to the router through which you are connected. Then down here we have DNS, this DHCP and DNS. I will just talk on this DNS. This DNS, you always see it as the Galaxy's IP. That's the IP of your service provider. That's the IP of your service provider through which you are browsing. Without DNS, you cannot browse. So, and DHCP is the one that is issuing your the IP to you, but DNS is the, you may not even see it, you may not, that's the one coming from your service provider, either DOPC or Galaxy. So these are the little troubleshooting that I just put up within the short period of 30 minutes I was given to prepare this note. So I want to believe I have other colleagues like Usman, Sevas, they are all online. Probably they can also said or assist all the more. But on this note, I will first of all try to entertain maybe 2 or 3 questions because of my time, if Felix allows me. Hello.
We are listening.
So I want to have questions now, if any, because my time is up.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Motosho.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, thanks for the beautiful lectures. I want to tender my apology for the organizer that I was coming late for the meeting. Firstly, I want to, on the issue of a Galaxy network,
yes, sir,
that has been giving us a lot of challenges, especially on the IPMS when we are trying to do the counter registration.
Yeah.
And is there any way the Galaxy can increase the speed of the network we are using?
Well, I can assure you, IC department has not relented effort in make sure you have a better network as regards Galaxy. And over time, ICT has been trying to increase the bandwidth. But in order not to really waste our time, I will advise you still put it up and in form of a recommendation to head of ICT. You can equally copy Severs. Severs happens to be the contact person that normally liaise with Galaxy and other service providers that we have. And he used to really go there to really talk to them. So I believe you have our GM's email, sir.
Yes.
I just put it up and try to copy probably Severs, or if you don't have Severs email, it can be sent to you.
Actually, Mr. Motosho,
yes, sir.
This is what has been reported to the DZM several times, and it's giving us a lot of challenges, most especially here in Abeokuta. And the last time when I contacted Mrs. Modi in Ota, she was even asking me that they cannot even upload on IPMS. That was the reason why they are calling below other districts and states and zones in Lagos. And I believe the DZM is aware of it, if not because we have a backup network that we use to upload. Mostly, we don't normally use Galaxy for uploading on IPMS. It is better when you are using it for IPS. But when it comes to IPMS, by the time we are trying to select a destination town or destination area, the other one that's supposed to come up will not come up. But when you are using the backup network, it will come up fast. That is just, I believe our DZM is aware about this matter. And we cannot just write a letter to the GM directly like that, bypassing our DZM. But when we write to the DZM is supposed to forward such an information to the headquarters and liaise with the authority in our.
Sorry, I believe it's not only your district that is having this issue. Because
not only my district.
If we allow other people to talk, I know they might be experiencing the same issue. But what I will just do at my own end is I will note it and take it to appropriate quarters. I can assure you that. But NIPOST is really, or let me say, ICT is trying their best and they are aware of what you are experiencing, but I will still take it upon to the appropriate quarters.
Okay, sir. Hello, good afternoon, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening, or good afternoon, sir. Yes, sir. It's just just for the sake of knowledge about our infrastructure. I just want to ask, how many service provider do we have, and what's the criteria of choosing a service provider for this particular office and different from the other office? That's my question, for just sake of knowledge. Thank you.
Fine. Hello.
So I've been trying to
let me answer. You can add to it. Sorry, sir. The last question you asked of the criteria that we use to come about the service provider we are using. Federal government mandated all MDAs to be using Galaxy as their primary service provider, because Galaxy is government-owned company. In fact, Galaxy, we are in the same ministry together. So, and federal government, whether you are in the same ministry or not, as long as you are federal government MDAs, you are bound to use Galaxy. But notwithstanding, that does not exempt you from from having a backup service provider in your own zone or district. For instance, in headquarters now, headquarters try to have other service provider as backup, so that when a Galaxy fails us, we can easily switch over to it. And I'm very sure places like Lagos, Edo, Port Harcourt, they have similar thing too.
Okay.
Port Harcourt has the problem. Port Harcourt don't have a different network other than Galaxy. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Motojo, well done. Thank you so much. Hello, Mr. Motojo.
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, now I think the baseline of our IPMS operation is to have all our offices connected. And that's one area that I think you already said it. Headquarters is already working on it assiduously. But we need better results, because we keep talking, Galaxy is down, NIPOST, the site they give it to us, it's not working. And we keep saying it over and over again. And these offices, we want them to come on board with uploading. And you know, the cost of internet alternatives is higher than when you have Galaxy and your NIPOST. You know, in these offices, we are using MTN, you are using Airtel, you are using all these other network providers, and it's very expensive for them.
Yes,
and that is one of the challenges we are having with DMs.
Okay. Sorry, my Oga.
Yes,
okay, sir. My Oga, I will ask your question, and probably because Usman is on and my phone is almost, even system is almost done. So I want to answer your question before I pull out. Sam, my Oga, so just like I said, Usman will take it up, we are together. So my Oga, I wish is someone under you or someone from the district that asked this question from him. I would have said something that is able to at least say one of the things. But notwithstanding, what I want to say now is, for any zone, I believe there is a kind of a stipend, let me call it stipend allocation for subscription, for the subscription of modems, which will serve as our backup. So I thought the question would come from someone like someone in district, that so that I can easily direct the person to deputy zonal manager, which you are. Because to my best knowledge and to our best knowledge in headquarters, we all know that there is stipend for this modem subscription, so as to serve as backup for Galaxy.
So let me take it up from there. Good evening, all. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
My name is Abdikadir Usman. I am with the network team, corporate headquarters. First of all, Mr. Sarui, or if I'm right, raised a particular question concerning Galaxy and the point. What we're dealing with now, the major issue we're dealing with is always point of presence. Galaxy, as this thing, the federal government has directed that all MDS should use Galaxy backbone as their primary ISP. So we've tried our possible best to see that, okay, most of our GPOs and these POs are connected via Galaxy. But looking at that again, the present technology we have at the GPOs are obsolete. So Galaxy is like trying to convince NIPOST and the whole management to upgrade to the new technology we have, which is the 4G LTE and also the fiber optics technology. And to be frank with you, these are things that need it's relatively on high side. But NIPOST, on the other hand, is not also sleeping. They are also trying to connect most of the GPOs via fiber. And also, not everywhere around the whole nation that there is point of presence of Galaxy. They also depend on other network providers, other ISPs to connect their devices. That being said, I think before this year, we communicated with all the information. We are working on something. We're coming up with we gave Galaxy a list to work with and also to deploy fibers to do most of the GPUs, in which they've started. I think Enugu is part of it. They've started in some areas in Lagos and also. But presently, I can assure you that we are still trying our possible best to get most of the offices connected. Are you with me?
Yes, we are with you.
Okay. Another question being raised stating that, okay, most of the this thing, we spend a lot trying to subscribe to other network. We are trying to bring counter automation to life, and we can't wait for Galaxy or Night Concert to give us a perfect network, but also try our possible to manage the available resources within our midst to make sure we upload those data. So for now, I want all DZMs and all other ICT officers at the GPOs to bear with us. But we are working towards achieving what we call MPLS servers that we communicate, that we're going to use in communicating around the whole nation seamlessly without having any issue. We drop every information, we share information without having any network interruption. Have I answered the question?
Yes, you are proud.
Okay.
I want to expatiate one or two things, to ask one or two things before we round up.
No, okay. Please, Mr.
So, are you with me?
I'm with you.
All right. On our infrastructure, most especially on the Galaxy infrastructure, you know, some of the Galaxy wizards were installed in rural area, in less urban cities.
Yes.
For example, under my district, we have two wizards installed in Ilaro, one at the Federal Polytechnic and one at the main town. Hello?
I can hear you.
One at Ilaro post office. We have two post offices in Ilaro, one at the Federal Polytechnic and one at the main town. Mm-hmm. But the one at that main town, can't we move it from Ilaro to urban city? Here in Abeokuta, we have about 5 post offices in Abeokuta.
Okay, let me cut you short now. Mr. Kingsley said something earlier. Can you hear me? Let me cut you short there. He said something earlier. He said, there are things we need to be responsible for. We don't just move anything from one place to another.
No, I'm not moving it. I'm only trying to let you know the situation of things.
To
let you know the situation of things. And actually, I've already written my report